Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. As an evolving spirit and change adventure navigator, it is Kate's mission to empower and guide you on your path and inspire your truest passions. She will encourage you to share your gifts, speak your truth, and ignite your inner wisdom and purpose. She hopes to do so with a little humor and grace, and her own soulfire passion. Kate talks with amazing guests who have embraced the pursuit and are fanning the flames of their own passion, purpose, and soulfire wisdom. Now here's your host, Kate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom and Tips, Tricks, and Triumphs Tuesday. So if this is your first time listening, I'm a hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, Reiki master, and a life coach. But I like to call myself a change adventure navigator because I love guiding people through obstacles and adversity to find their path, purpose, and peace. So today I had a hard time deciding what to talk about. As you know, if you've watched prior shows, I usually get my cues from things clients have been dealing with the previous week. So I had two things I was considering. I was considering talking about productivity or decision making. And I was having a hard time deciding. So guess what I'm going to talk about? I'm going to talk about decision making. So I want to give you 10 tips on making better, easier decisions. And the first one is don't stress. The second one is give yourself an adequate amount of time. Don't leave the decision to the last minute because that will cause you stress. Third, identify the main factors that are influencing your decision. 4, consider your options. 5, think about the possible outcomes for each option. And then evaluate the risks of something going wrong or things not turning out the way you expect. 7, ask for clarity. 8, sleep on it. 9, be silent and go inside. Listen to your intuition. And then number 10, take a leap. We never know for certain how any decision is going to turn out. That's always something we find out in retrospect. So at some point, you just have to take a leap and make a decision one way or the other. So those are my tips on decision making for today. We have a great show planned. My guest is Tiamo De Vettori, and he's a musician, singer-songwriter, author, speaker, mentor, and coach. He's spoken to over 100,000 people on 250 plus stages and combines his speaking with his original music to deliver Keynote Concerts. Tiamo was named LA Music Awards Singer-Songwriter of the Year, is a #1 best-selling author, appeared as a guest on Jimmy Kimmel, and was featured as a coach to watch by the Amazing Women and Men of Power magazine. Tiamo also leads his own seminars for aspiring speakers and music artists from around the world. And I met Tiamo about 4 years ago, actually, before I started the first radio show, Embrace Change with Kate. And I went to a seminar he was doing in San Diego called Fearless Speakers Emergence. because I was trying to get over my tremendous fear of speaking. I don't think I decided quite yet on doing the radio show, but that was actually my first speaker conference that I went to. So I'm really happy to introduce Tiamo right now. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Kate. I'm great. Thank you for the nice introduction.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. To start out with, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what led you to your current path?
I would say following my heart around my music. So, yeah, a little over 20 years ago, I felt like I had this music inside me, but I didn't know how to get it out. And my best friend at the time kept telling me that I was destined to be a singer-songwriter, and I didn't know what he was talking about. But eventually, I just stopped coming from a place of having to know how to do it, and just be open to any and all possibilities. So I did end up writing my first song, and that was such a great experience for me. And then he really encouraged me or nudged me or even kindly pushed me to perform that one song in front of all of our friends at open mic night a few nights later. And I did, and that was a life-changing experience for me. And then from there, I realized that I had this passion as a performing songwriter. And so then I started performing and doing that a lot publicly. And so I had lots of live gigs, and eventually I started recording my first album in the studio, and started getting my music heard a lot more. And I just loved the opportunity to inspire and touch a lot of lives through not only the music, but the lyrics and the message. And then eventually I moved to San Diego, and that's where my fan base grew a lot more. And in time, having success with my music and my fans, I started exploring other avenues because I also love telling the stories about the songs, and I was becoming this evolving storyteller. And that was really great for me because I discovered the art of storytelling. I also discovered that storytellers are great speakers. And so I was combining the craft of storytelling with music. And then that got me booked on a lot more conference stages at seminars, conventions, conferences, where I was doing something that I call Keynote Concerts. So I was combining speaking with live music. And in combining those, I started getting booked for keynotes, but I was getting booked and paid as a speaker, not so much as a musician, which most of us know that speakers tend to get paid a lot more than musicians do. So that's what accelerated my career, combining my original music with speaking. And then as that was growing and I was having a lot more success with that, then I started teaching other music artists how to do what I do. And then because I was becoming a much better speaker, and then eventually doing my own speaker training seminars, as you mentioned, Kate, since you attended, then I was really focused on both, around how to become a great speaker and how to have success as a music artist. And so for me, that's where I found my niche, is working with artists, working with emerging speakers, in combining artistry with speaking. And that's something that I've definitely been passionate about. And, that grew for me in the sense of not only was it around speaking and performing in front of a live audience, but then teaching others how to do it in the way that I've been doing it, which then has really inspired a lot of other people to do much bigger work in the world.
So the past year has been, like chaos for just about everybody.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with it and gotten through everything?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think a lot of acceptance and a lot of not giving into the fear that is very collective and all over the world, and really finding my own peace around it. So yeah, I've really stayed away from watching TV and actually a lot of the news. I don't watch news at all. And just trying to stay out of the negative narrative around the state of the world, while being aware of what's going on. But I think there's a difference between being aware and being attached, and being pulled in. So I've been aware, but I've also just created my own happy world here. It's like I felt like while things were shutting down, I just felt that if I'm going to need to be in my home a lot, then how could I elevate my life in my home? And so, that just led to a lot more meditation. It led to a lot more healing. It led to a lot more reading, like really productive things for me. It led to a lot more creating and reinventing my business online. And a lot of those things, it's also led to a lot more exercise and all of that stuff. So it's been great from a creative standpoint, as well as a wellness standpoint. I would say in this past year, I've worked on myself more in a year than probably the last 5 years combined. So it's been a great inner personal journey for me.
Great. Glad to hear that.
No, thank you.
So what are some of your passions, and what would you say is your most, I don't know, enduring or significant passion?
Yeah, it's changed over time, which I think is interesting. I think sometimes people feel like once they find their passion, then that's it. And, I think I've shared a little here, my passion for music and my passion for speaking. But, it's like initially it was more about being the performer, being the speaker, being on stage and inspiring audiences. And then it shifted for me in a sense of how can I help others to do that too? And realizing that it goes way beyond me. Like if I can empower music artists, if I can empower speakers to share their message to the world, then it's going way past just me. This whole ripple effect of how that happens. And so for me, that's been my developing passion, is to help other people with their passion and how to express it, how to articulate it, how to turn it into a business, how to have more reach with it, and most importantly, more impact. So it's been great for me to be able to be a mentor for others while I continue learning a lot myself. But I would say just being a mentor has been my newest passion, as well as a lot that's been growing for me around teaching about personal development and transformational work, because it's one thing to understand the craft or become better at a craft, and then it's another thing to have the confidence, and then it's another thing to have the mindset to be able to do it, so that you can live your passion, live your purpose, and help others to do that too.
Great.
Thank you.
So you actually answered the question I was just about to ask next. I was going to ask you what you had learned from pursuing your passions, but you just really told us.
Well,
so
I can add to it, certainly.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. So a lot of things that I've learned in pursuing my passions is that it's really important to do it in the way that you feel called to do it. Not so much always how others are saying you should do it, but finding something that feels really congruent to who you are. And an example that comes up for me is when I was pursuing my music passion, there's certainly a way to do it in the music industry that is very mainstream, that everybody else is doing. And I did not align with that. And so I felt like I'm going to go create my own path in a way that lights me up. And it felt more risky because there wasn't as much coaching or direction around how to do that. But with it being around speaking and music and just going outside of the music industry to find success, for me was my own way of doing it. And I really encourage people who want to pursue a passion to do it not because others are saying you should do it a certain way, or because you feel obligated or burdened or pressured or whatever it is, but to really create something that feels unique to you. And it may not be something that's totally new, but it might be your own style, your own flavor, your own message on it. And then boldly and courageously sharing it in ways that a lot of people are not. So that's definitely something that I've learned. I've also learned the importance of letting go and being unattached to how things are going to look. Because I have in the past, I felt like I was attached to outcomes and results and success and fans and all those things. And I realized that the plan or the divine plan is not really up to me. There's a higher power involved, and what I have to do is just keep showing up when I see the signs, when I hear the whispers, when I get the inspirations, and then I act on them. And so it's not so much about forcing things to happen, but really paying attention to when things are ripe for them to happen and then doing it. Because I think in pursuing passion, people can become rigid and tense around where are my results, where are all my clients, and they have time frames for it. Like, if I don't get this many clients within 6 months, then I'm done. You know, and it's like it takes a lot more persistence than that, and it takes a lot more belief in yourself than that, and it takes a lot more belief in something bigger. So I've had to become better at letting go of all these expectations, and it's really more of being an instrument for them to happen as opposed to trying to make them happen.
Yes, definitely. Sometimes we have to find out all the ways that don't work before we find that way that does work.
Yeah, very true.
So what is the difference between passion and purpose for you?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people get them confused or think they're the same thing. In my experience, I don't think they're the same thing at all. I think that passion is temporary. I think passion is that. It's like where you feel the fire and you're passionate and you're all excited, and then like 8 weeks later, it's not quite the same. Like you didn't get the results you wanted, or maybe you got business cards printed and you started working on a website, but suddenly over time, the passion starts to fade. So to me, passion is like the spark. But the purpose is permanent. I mean, the purpose is a thing that, regardless of the results, regardless of the outcomes and the clients and the bookings and all of that, you still feel that you're on this planet to do it. Let's say, for example, it's writing a book. Well, you know, there's a lot of people who start writing and then they never finish. Whereas you just feel like something inside you has to write this book. You have to get it out in the world. Nobody knows about it yet. No publishers want to pick it up. Nobody wants to promote it. But guess what? A year later, you're still writing, or you're still like believing in this book. Like, to me, that is more purpose, is the thing that you get up for every day. It's long-term. It's not short-term. I feel like sometimes passion can be short-term related, and purpose is more long-term, which is, this is my life's work now. So to me, it's like passion is the spark and purpose is the bonfire. And that's how I see it. And purpose is just like, either way, like I don't have a choice. Like I have to do this thing. Regardless of how it looks, like I have to do it. And you just can't stop thinking about it. And you can't stop telling everybody about it. And it's not related to results. It's just related to, this is my dharma. This is who I am. Like I can't turn it off. And to me, those are the differences.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. I guess I see it a little differently. Like I see passion as the vehicle and purpose as the mission.
Great.
So, what is the difference? What is the greatest purpose that you have right now, would you say?
For me right now, the way it looks is helping others with their purpose. And I think that when people are wanting to pursue their purpose, there's an infinite amount of things in their way, whether it's mindset or doubts or limiting beliefs, fears, all of those things. And it makes me sad that people feel passionate about something or want to be, but they don't move forward and they keep doing things the same way, and they don't get their purpose out into the world. So for me, I believe there's a process in finding what your purpose is, and then there's a process to actually share it in the world in a way that is vulnerable. And then there is a process to all the unfolding that happens once you step into your purpose. And then what it means to really do it in a bigger way, to have a much bigger impact in the world, in a way that does not burn you out, does not make you exhausted, does not make you want to quit, but it actually drives you and inspires you. It gives you energy and makes you healthier. So there's so much around how you navigate time, energy, effort, live your life, because so many times there's so much conversation around hustling. And so to me, it's not really purposeful to be pursuing your purpose, but you're exhausted and you're constantly hustling, and then you're unhappy, and then you're unhealthy, but you're pursuing your purpose. I mean, to me, it's like, that doesn't really work well. And I see a lot of people doing it that way. I've done it that way in the past, which is why I can speak to it firsthand. And so what I feel most purposeful about now is helping people to find and pursue their purpose in a way that works great for them, in a way that optimizes their health, their happiness, their joy, their inner peace. And then when they model that for others, others want to be around that, because to me, purpose is more of a beingness than a doingness. So I hear people talk about purpose a lot, and then they're doing tons of things. And then the more they're doing, the less they're being. And it's like, purpose is about being. And as you're being who you really are and living your purpose, then others show up. So I just see how there's so many models where this is very inverted. And I just love helping people see it from another perspective.
So what do you feel prevents people from pursuing their purpose, or what do you think those
I think there's a lot of things. I think people's need for certainty. Like, people will choose comfort and certainty and live a mundane life over uncertainty and living a beautiful life. And so I see how there is this gap between people living the life they truly want to live and people just staying comfortable. And I think most people stay pretty small and comfortable. So people want to stay in their comfort. People don't really want to take big risks. Like, pursuing your purpose is a risk. And it's absolutely a risk, a huge risk worth taking, in my opinion. But because people are afraid to take that risk, and the risks involved could be monetarily, like, what does this mean for me financially? The risk could be about rejection, fear of rejection and what people are going to think of you. The risk could be about your family. Your family thinks you're going crazy. It could be about maybe eventually leaving your job, which I left my day job almost 10 years ago now. I was terrified, but I did it anyway. Like, I took the leap. And so these are some very big steps that prevent people from pursuing their purpose. There is also a lot of imposter syndrome. And so there's insecurity around that. There's insecurities around people feeling like there are others who will not value what they have to say or what they have to share, that everything is going to go quiet, that people are going to run away, that they're going to be left alone. There's survival fears. Like there's so much around it, which is, I don't feel like you have to eliminate these fears or these doubts to move forward. They start to dissolve as you're moving forward. They start to melt away as you move forward. And then as you move forward, new ones come in. But as new ones come in, then you know how to deal with it because you've been growing it. And it's like, for me, I feel that I'd become really great at doing things despite the fear, because I still am fearful about a lot of things.
Yes.
But it never stops me from doing it. Like, that's out of the question. Like, fear, whatever. I mean, I'm so used to doing things despite fear that it's become a skill set of mine. It's become a habit, which is what I want others to have, but you don't know until you actually start doing it.
Yes. And you also have to become aware that at least half of your fears are imaginary. You know, they're
at least half, not more.
Yes, at least half.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What would you tell someone today about pursuing their passions and finding their purpose if they want to know where to start?
It all starts inside you. I think that people are always looking externally for what it is, even if it's trainings, even if it's getting a degree, going to college. No, it's interesting, Kate. I referenced leaving my job 10 years ago. Well, my job 10 years ago is I was an academic advisor at a university. Mm-hmm. And I would sit down with students all day and help them to reach their graduation requirements. But my biggest takeaway from that is, I would say at least 70% of the students I was seeing every day did not want to be studying the area they were studying. Yet they were going into all this debt, spending 4 years working on this. Then after they're getting their undergraduate degree, wanting to get a master's or a PhD in areas that they didn't even want to be in. So that's just one example, but there's so many other examples where people feel like they should, because of whether it's social pressure or family pressure, or because this is the expectation, or this is the cultural expectation, or that's just what people do, or whatever it is. So I don't see a lot of people taking a brave step and just saying, I want to do something that lights up my soul. And maybe everyone around will be thinking I'm crazy. Maybe I don't know how to make money doing it. It's like, when I started doing my music, I didn't know how to make money doing music. I've just heard that all musicians were broke. I thought, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And eventually I found my own way. And then eventually I was making more money with my music than at my day job. Like I wouldn't have imagined that to begin with. So I think it's really innovating, and it's creating your own destiny and listening to that. Where it starts, I believe, is internally. I believe it's in the quiet. It's go in nature to find it, or sit with your feelings if you need to. Like, sometimes I just sit right here. This is, just in my office, and I find things that I wouldn't if I was really busy doing stuff. So whether I'm walking or I'm going for a run or I'm hiking, I find that being outdoors, being in nature helps open up these inspirations. But here's the thing, is like, when the inspiration comes, then what are you going to do with it? Because people get an inspiration, sometimes it's gone within minutes because they talk themselves out of it. Like, you can come up with all these reasons why it's not going to work and why you shouldn't do it. But then what are you going to do next with it? And so for me, I want people to become less busy in order to find what it is that their purpose is. I want people to raise their vibration by essentially being happier, being more joyful, being healthier. So raising your vibration, because when you do, the answers start coming. If your vibration is low and you're heavy and you're tense and you're stressed out and you're sick and you're tired, not many inspirations come that way. So it all starts with, because a lot of times people just want the path. They're just like, give me the blueprint. I just, I want to go on my purpose. Give me the templates. Give me the blueprints. Like that's not how it starts. It starts with you and the place you're coming from for your level of beingness and being happier, being more at peace. And then those things start to show up. And then when they show up, take action with it.
Yes, definitely. So do you have any mentors or role models that have guided you along your path?
I do. I have mentors. I have role models. I have friend-tors as well. So, I would say, there's been many, but I would say some of them, starting with my dear friend Sean Stevenson, who passed away last year, over a year and a half ago, but he was a very close friend and an incredible speaker. So I learned a lot from him. Also my close friend, Christian Michelson. And, I started attending his workshops and seminars and eventually was part of his coaching program and became one of his coaches. And, I've learned a tremendous amount from him. More recently, Roger James Hamilton is someone that I've learned a lot from as far as being a successful entrepreneur, not so much in the terms of how much money you make, but how much you scale your business in a way that makes you happy, in a way that frees up your time, in a way where you grow and outsource your team and just do it in a really wise way, in a really smart way. So he's been, recent for me. There's definitely been quite a few others. And I always have, my favorite authors too. And there's, like Eckhart Tolle and Neil Donald Walsh. And I could certainly share many others. And I could say right now I'm reading the book, The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease, which has been really great. And so I would say I have different mentors. I have mentors. I feel like books are my mentors. And I certainly have coaches that are mentors. And, people I know, people I don't know. And I'll throw one other type out there. If people listen closely enough, I believe my angels are my mentors.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Because they have a lot more knowledge than I do. They have a lot more insights and wisdom. And so when I ask for their guidance, I get it. And how many times do people actually ask their angels or their spirit guides for help? And so I do this all the time. I ask them to show me the way. When I don't know the answer, I ask for them to help me to be patient, but to light the path for me, and then I'll walk it. I don't know how. I don't have to have the answers to have progress.
Okay.
So that's kind of a summary around that.
So what is your biggest challenge that you currently encounter in your work?
The timing of this is very interesting because, I've been really changing and shifting my business so that I don't have many challenges. I would say the biggest challenge before was time, and I just felt like I didn't have enough time. And then I dramatically changed my perspective on time and just started implementing it. So instead of working harder to feel like I can create more time, so it's like reverse. Like people feel like in order to create more time, I have to spend more time on it. I have to work harder. And that's actually not how it goes, at least for me. So I'm in a stage now where I'm working way less to have more time. To have more time to be in my joy, in my passions that are also not necessarily business related, but for play and my personal life and my family and my friends and my hobbies and things I love to do. And as I create more time for those things, time gets easier and I get way more done in less time. So to answer your question, in the recent past, it was around time. That was my biggest challenge. And now I've alleviated most of that. And so I guess the next challenge is seeing how that unfolds. Does it doesn't have a negative impact on my business? I don't know. And there's some challenge around that not knowing, but like I shared with you earlier, Kate, that doesn't stop me from creating change. I actually believe that with this new way of empowering myself around time, that my business will actually grow a lot faster than I ever planned on. So for me, it's we'll see how that goes. But it's been a really great transition.
Well, the only thing I know for sure is that you will encounter more challenges.
Yeah, and I'll be ready.
So what is the greatest reward or gift you get from your work currently?
Yeah, I would say people's personal stories about how it's changed their lives. Not only changed their lives, but the lives of people around them that they care about and they love. So for me, that's the greatest reward, is if it's made someone happier, if they've found themselves, if they've, they feel like they're on their path to purpose and they're no longer struggling because of it or lost or confused or don't want to live. I've had some of that. And clients say, I now have a reason to live. And just getting clarity and inspiration around that, that's been beautiful for me to witness.
Yes. So is there something you would consider your greatest triumph to this point?
I would say my greatest triumph is the person I've become. And I know that sounds like an arbitrary thing.
Mm-hmm.
But despite some of my challenges and risks that I've taken and things like that, I really love who I've become. I love that I love myself. What greater triumph is there than that? Other than maybe saving the world or something like that, which I haven't done. But I just feel like if we can truly love ourselves, then naturally, organically, we love the people around us. And I would say that that's what my name means. Tiamo means I love you. And I've always wanted to embody that. And I want people, when they're around me, to feel like I'm an expression of love. Love for life, love for people, love for the world, love for nature, love for God, whatever it might be. And I feel like I have that. It's not something that I am striving for, but I live it. And so that's probably my biggest accomplishment. And then all the other accomplishments from there, I think are a byproduct of that.
Yes, definitely. Great. So this is kind of an off-topic question, but it's something I've been asking all my guests for a while. So what has surprised you most about life so far?
Well, yeah, what surprised me most about life is how negative people can be and power hungry and greedy and selfish and controlling and all of that. And I just think of it from a global standpoint. And so for me, like, I love humanity. I love people. And it's really hard for me to ever imagine that people would want to hurt others or take away from others or diminish others, those kind of things, oppress others, take away people's freedoms, thinking about violence, thinking about all these things that are just totally unimaginable to me. So that may not be the most inspiring answer, but that's my honest answer. And that surprises me all the time. Like, I don't get how people actually can do that. But on the other hand, it's inspiration for me to keep making the world better, to keep modeling it, to keep sharing it. And if there's a way that, putting an end to it might be a big goal, but if there's a way that I can decrease it, minimize it, whatever it is, then I'd love to be a part of that. So while that might be the most surprising thing for me, on the other hand, it's also something that motivates me to help people in a deeper way.
Yes, I think the recent past brought that out for a lot of people. And
yes, definitely.
So we're getting close to the end of our time. So if you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show, what would you want that to be?
The question of, who do you want to become? Maybe you've been waiting for a sign, and here it is. Here's a sign. Me and Kate having this conversation right now, and you listening to it, because maybe there's a divine reason why you were called to listen to this right now. And maybe you're feeling like there's something you want to do, there's something you want to be, and you feel like you've been compromising yourself. And if you have been, you know what that feels like. You just have to be honest with yourself and saying, yeah, I can see where I've been settling. I can see where I've been compromising. It might be in a relationship. It might be a job. It might be the kind of parent you are or partner you are. Like, whatever it might be, all of those. So you might be thinking, like, I know life is supposed to, I know there's more.
Yes.
And reaching that more is not about more stuff. It's not about doing more. It's not about any of that. It's actually about, what do you have to release in order to be the person you wanted to be. So what I'm inviting your viewers to do is self-assess right now. And if you feel like you're not as happy, you're not as joyful, you're not as vibrant as you always wanted to be, there's a reason for that. And that can change right now. And I get that it can be really scary. And I'm here to say, and I imagine you are too, Kate, that the risks that are involved and the fears that are involved are so worth going on this journey of doing what you love, being the next highest version of what you've always wanted to be. So why does that have to be a year from now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Because none of us are guaranteed how long we're going to be here. And that's something that Sean's passing away really taught me, because he was 40 when he passed away.
Oh my goodness.
We all assume we're going to be like 90 or 100. I don't know. Like, what if I have a year left on this planet? Well, if I've got a year left on this planet, you better believe that I'm going to be all I can be in that time. So if we operated from that place of not really knowing when it's our time and wanting to make sure that our time here is the most fulfilling that it can be, the most love-filled that it can be. That whatever it is I need to say to someone, I say it. Whatever it is I need to do someone, if I need to do something to accelerate my dream, then I do it. Like if I gotta take that class, if I gotta hire that coach, if I gotta learn from something, then it's like it's right now. That's the only time is right now, not someday. Let's not wait for someday. And a lot of people watching this maybe have been waiting for someday, and the someday is not going to happen. So this is just a question of who do you want to become starting today, starting right now after watching this?
Okay, great. That's, as I said before, that's a little bit of what I call soul fire wisdom. So, and also to add to what Tiamo said, if you find that there's something you're resisting, that you keep being pulled toward, pay attention to that and, give it some consideration. So if the listeners want to connect with you or find out more about what you're doing or upcoming events, how would they do that?
Yeah, so I would say if you're a musician, go to thrivingmusician.com. And that's how you can get started with me. I have some free classes and resources there. If you want to just know more about my speaking and my music, you can go to Tiamo Keynote Concerts.com. And if you want to follow me on YouTube, where I'm going to be sharing a lot more about this, I'm actually been starting a new business and brand called Zen Hustle, which is a lot about what we've been talking about today, Kate. Then just find me on YouTube and just search for my name. Or I have a link to my YouTube. I don't know if I can put that in the chat, but maybe that's a good place for it.
Sure, you can put it on the chat.
Okay.
I don't know if you're part of the Facebook group, but if you're not, you just need to join the group to put it in the chat.
Okay. All right. I put it there. So that's my YouTube channel. And just searching for my name. Tiamo, last name is De Vettori. And but yeah, if you search for Tiamo, you'll find my music site and other things. You might see something about Tiamo Resorts or some songs about Tiamo, but you'll find me in there. So hopefully, for those of you who come into my world beyond today, I can't wait to meet you.
Great. So thank you for being here today and talking about this. I know it's something that a lot of people, have thoughts about. So I have a little quote to take with you through your week.
Okay.
And well, you can take it too, but I was really meaning the audience.
All right, great.
But, one of the greatest discoveries a man can make, one of the great surprises, is to find he can do what he was afraid he couldn't do. And that was said by Henry Ford. And it's one of my favorite quotes.
That's beautiful.
So we have another great show planned for next week. Next week, my guest will be Dr. Amy Harris Neuron. And Dr. Amy is a clinical psychologist, and she is also the founder of the Center for Health and Wellness in I think it's Bloomingdale, Illinois, and she tackles, not herself personally, but through her clinic, a lot of common issues that people tell us are uncurable. And it turns out that isn't always true. She's turned around diabetes, found a lot of ways to help people that have chronic illnesses, chronic I don't know what they're called. Like chronic fatigue syndrome and things like that they say can't be cured. And she has done a lot of research into the impact of hormones. And that is actually the topic that we're going to talk about next week. So be sure to join us next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific and Mountain Time. And we'll have a great show. Thanks again, Tiamo, for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Kate.
And so I'm just going to say bye for now.
All right. I enjoyed being on. Thank you so much.
Fire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made you laugh, brightened your day, or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to soul fire wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.